My boss wants to pay me an experience instead of money, so I ruin his $3 million project. Here's what happened. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk on YouTube and hit the bell for notifications. I'm a young project manager for an unlimited commercial GC. I picked up a hammer for the first time 6 years ago. No prior experience. I was raised believing if you work hard and apply yourself, you'll be successful. For 2 years, I learned everything I could in the construction industry, took my work home with me, and studied on my own time to better myself. For that, I was promoted to foreman. I was brought in to take over a small project at a 12-building, 120-unit condo complex. It started small, and the board of directors for the HOA told me they loved my professionalism, work ethic, and ability to complete projects on time and under budget. We won a big contract because of that small project. This was 3 years ago. I've since taken over the job of foreman, superintendent, and project manager. I do the billing, meetings with engineers and board members, scheduling, takeoff, material ordering. I even train the subs on application of new products because we didn't have enough mid-management. The project just passed $2.7 million. We got a bid request for another $3 million job in the same complex. All the while, the board of directors are telling me how appreciative they are and how they've gone through 5 different contractors in the years before committing to my company because of my management and quality of work. This boosted my confidence, and I went to the owners asking for the raise they promised me a year ago for my production. They told me, "The experience you're getting is far more valuable." I said, "You're right." I put my resume on public, got contacted by a headhunter, and just accepted an offer this week for an $80K a year salary, full benefits, and 28 days paid time off including holidays. It's in the office now, so no more working from the field, full in my own truck. I get a laptop, Wi-Fi in my truck for on-the-go billing when I visit out-of-state projects, $80 per diem, 100% matching 401k for the first 3 years of my employment, and quarterly bonus programs. The company I'm with now only pays me $40K, and that's it. None of the above listed benefits. The final nail in the coffin was when the owners bragged about how much my project made in the company meeting, and then denied me a Christmas bonus too. I laid this offer on their desk Friday and watched their jaws hit the floor. I told the HOA board president of the project I'm running about my resignation when they couldn't match my offer. His eyes got big and requested a meeting with the owners and expressed serious concern about moving forward with the new project without my involvement. They don't have anyone to replace me, and I'm not gonna lie. It feels good to hurt their pockets when I gave them everything I had for 6 years and only asked for the median project manager salary. Screw those greedy jerks. Yeah, you definitely gained some kind of experience there, I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, you did build up a really nice resume with all the successful projects you did at this company, but they should have been paying you accordingly. Especially if they're gonna sit there in meetings and brag about how much money they made from your work. The sad truth is, a lot of the time it is better to switch up where you're at after a couple years, because the jump you get in wage from moving to a new company is more than you get from just sitting around at the old one. Sometimes you have to wait years for a position to open up before you're able to be promoted, when you could just go to another company that has a position open and would pay you more money for it. But we're made to believe that we're supposed to have some kind of loyalty to the company. When you see stuff like this, does it really look like the company cares about loyalty? I mean, I'm sure they do on their end, but it's a two-way street. When you guys actually start showing appreciation for hard work and take care of your employees, maybe they'll actually want to stick around. You can submit your own stories to be featured here on the channel. The story submission link is in the description below. And if you want to listen to some vibey music in the background, check out easymode, also linked below. And don't forget to subscribe. AT&T employee tries to sell me a phone that I've already paid for. This happened a couple days ago in Hollywood, Florida. I traded up my phone for the holidays at AT&T's website and arranged a pickup in my nearest store. The receipt I had for the pickup said the phone was being held until December 30th, so I go in on the 29th to pick it up. I needed to get to work and I wasn't going to be able to leave work during business hours, so it had to be then. I was hoping the whole process would take 15 minutes. It didn't. I get there and the individual, Alan, tells me that my phone wasn't available because I had waited too long and they had canceled my pickup, even though I had until the next day to do so. I show him the email that says that and he shrugs his shoulders and says that they canceled the order because they counted the day I placed the order as one of the days towards cancellation, which is obviously stupid. Then he offers to sell me the phone that I was trying to pick up because it's impossible for me to just pick up the phone that was being held for me. I just want my phone, so I agree to go through the whole purchase process, and as it turns out, I'll have to pay for the phone again and let AT&T refund the funds for the original order. Major bullcrap, but again, this is all the time I have to pick up my phone. I ask him for the phone number for someone I can speak with about what's going on, and he tells me I need to speak to customer retention and gives me a phone number he pulls off a list. So he goes through the process, and by then I'm late for work, and he tells me he's having problems selling me the last unit of the phone I wanted to purchase. He tries to upsell me. I tell him that I want the phone I ordered, and he tells me that he's having some trouble because the system's not letting him sell that unit. It's the last unit he has, so he needs to take extra steps to sell it to me. So now he goes on his phone and tries to make some phone calls to try and unlock this unit. Meanwhile, he leaves me alone long enough to find out that the phone number he gave me was bull. It led to a non-working extension for AT&T, and it would just stay on hold. I went on Google and discovered this by finding the actual customer retention phone number and calling it. So now I'm speaking with the customer retention specialist and I explain to him what's happening over the phone. The retention specialist confirms that yes, my phone is available for pickup and has not been canceled. Meanwhile, on his phone, I can hear Alan speaking with someone at AT&T, and the person he's speaking with says over the speakerphone, "I can't allow you to sell that phone, it's being held until tomorrow for customer pickup." So I asked the person on Alan's phone to repeat that, and they confirmed that yes, Alan was trying to sell me the phone I had already purchased and was there to pick up. Then I asked the customer retention person I'm speaking with if he heard the other individual's comment. The customer retention rep confirms that he had heard what the other AT&T rep had said, and the customer retention rep asks me to confirm the store number I'm located at and the name of the person I'm speaking with. At that point, Alan, upon realizing I'm speaking with customer retention and retention heard everything he's trying to do with my phone, tells me to leave the store and tells me he's going to call the police if I don't. Customer retention rep on the phone hears him kick me out of the store. So I didn't get my phone that day, but I did have it delivered to my house next day by UPS, which was nice. And I did get to have a conference call with a regional manager from AT&T, along with a supervisor at customer retention and a manager for third-party dealer locations while the customer retention specialist confirms everything I was telling them. I didn't get my phone that day, but I did ruin someone else's day, and that was way more satisfying. Okay, this guy was definitely up to something. I think that because you place the order online, he doesn't get any credit for the sale, and that's really what he wants. A lot of employees in these types of positions get a little bit extra based on their numbers sold. Sometimes they even get a little extra special bonus for selling a specific brand or a specific model. So I think what this guy was trying to do was to redo the sale under his own name so that he could get credit for it and make a few extra bucks, especially considering this was right at the end of the month. If it's right at the end of the month and they're just short of the next tier of their commission or something like that, they'll try and pull something a little extra sneaky to get there if they can. So he wanted to resell you the phone you wanted, but it was the last one that you had already put on hold. Therefore, that's not an option, so he's trying to upsell you to the next best one. Again, giving himself a little more credit for selling a more expensive phone. As a sales tactic and as an employee, it's understandable why he would be trying to do something like this. But it is inconsiderate of our original poster's time, who was just trying to get to work. At that point, you just do what they need you to do and let them go about their day. You can try this again later in the day with someone who's got more time to waste. Neighbors were consistently loud, so I got a bit louder at the wrong time of the year. Throughout the year, I had noisy and thoughtless neighbors. They would often have loud parties that would go to the early hours of the morning. They were all in university and of Indian descent. This becomes important later on. I had called the police, called the apartment manager, and nobody would do anything about it. I was losing sleep, and my work was becoming affected as well. I had spoken to them directly, and they completely disregarded me and refused to just shut up. This went on for months, and I was writing out my lease to move somewhere else. One day I'm sitting watching TV on a nice spring day and I have my windows wide open. And I hear one of the neighbor's friends come over and he asks if he's coming out. He says no. He needs to study for an important test he's taking the next day. This little snippet of information was all I needed. His friend leaves and he closes the door. I then proceeded to take my speakers and put them up against the walls, near where I knew his desk was. There were balconies outside, so I often saw him studying here. I began to blast death metal straight at the wall. I put on my noise-canceling headphones and just blasted it as loud as possible for hours. My landlord actually ended up coming into the apartment because I couldn't hear him knocking, and he's obviously flipping out. But I'm like, meh, you never did anything when I complained, so good luck. Call the cops. My lease was set to be up soon anyway, and I was leaving the state, so screw y'all. So landlord leaves and I'm still amped up on adrenaline, and it's quiet for maybe 20 minutes, and I just intermittently start blasting music. The neighbor comes over completely irate, screaming that he has this big test and he has to pass it. Apparently he's a medical student. I just laughed in his face and said, I don't hear anything. He then makes the fantastic mistake of telling me he didn't just have a final tomorrow, but it was finals week. Oh, great. So I continued doing this every night for the rest of the week. I set my alarm to go off every 30 minutes, and I would bang on the walls with a hammer and blast music, and I was going a bit crazy as well. But that didn't matter, because I was screwing up this guy's life. Around day 3 of no sleep for anyone, he comes over screaming about how in India his family'll disown him and all this nonsense, which just made me laugh, and just said the same thing over and over, that I didn't hear the music, and I think it was coming from somewhere else. I basically just started gaslighting him, acting really nice when he came over in a rage. That weekend, the landlord gave some bullcrap notice that I had to leave, which I was fine with, because he broke my lease and I wanted to get out anyway, so I got my deposit back. On the last morning I was there, I was moving out and I knocked on the jerk neighbor's door at like 8 a.m. and asked him if he wanted this old air conditioner I was going to throw out otherwise. He was in a total daze, and I don't know if he really understood what was happening anymore. Anyway, hopefully I screwed up his life and his future a bit. Should've just shut up when I told him to numerous times. Well, that's what you call an eye for an eye. I do kind of feel like the kid's suffering from much worse repercussions given that this is a very serious thing they need to be doing and aren't able to do it with the proper focus, but they did kind of bring it on themselves. Maybe if they had shown a little bit of common courtesy to our original poster, they would have done the same in return. Just goes to show you get what you give. If you're gonna be a jerk to your neighbors, they're gonna be jerks back. I don't know. In this situation, I just feel like everyone's just kind of being immature. It's just unfortunate that our original poster had to go to this extent to feel they were getting any kind of justice for what was happening to them. Really, the appropriate people should have handled it, being the building manager or the cops, whoever. I blew up on my husband in front of his whole family during a New Year's Eve celebration after he made a joke about my birth experience. I, 25-year-old female, gave birth to my daughter 2 weeks ago. My experience was pretty traumatic, and since it was my first, I had no clue what to expect. Forgive me for the vague details for privacy, but I'll mention all the relevant stuff, I promise. When I went into labor, I had the most difficult time of my life. I was in pain for hours. My mom was with me, but she had to go, and my husband was with me the entire time. I did something so embarrassing in the delivery room. I pooped myself, which was unexpected, and just, I don't know, but it was embarrassing. And although my medical team were very professional about it, my husband couldn't help himself and started laughing about it later, and even telling my family about it, but they didn't react. They just didn't find it funny, and neither did I. In fact, I found it embarrassing, and I already told him to stop bringing it up, especially when he started joking about getting me diapers for my oopsies. It got really tiring, and chipped away from my self-esteem and confidence. We were with his parents celebrating New Year's Eve together when I excused myself to the bathroom. While I was getting up, he made a quick remark and said, "Oh yeah, you should go quickly because we don't want any accidents like the one we had at the hospital, you know what I mean?" While winking at me. His family actually laughed, and brother-in-law commented, "Good one." I was astonished, and so angry and ashamed. I literally just lost it on him, and yelled at the top of my lungs, calling him a cruel, insensitive jerk to be using the difficult experience of birthing his child as a joking matter, and humiliating me in front of everybody. He was shocked, staring back at me and not saying a word. All went silent, and I just stormed off to the bathroom till we left, and that was when he snapped, saying I messed up by talking to him like that in front of his family during dinner. I said I couldn't hold my tongue for that long, and that I'd asked him to stop making jokes about this very embarrassing thing. He said he was just joking, and I went overboard with my reaction. And also, I should have sucked it up and waited till we got home so we could address this privately, and could even yell at him as long as I wanted. We kept arguing about it after we got home, and he kept saying I humiliated him in front of his family during the celebratory evening by being petty and trying to one-up him. He even said I should have laughed along and not fly off the handle like that. Did I overreact? Am I the jerk? You didn't overreact. You put him in his place. You didn't humiliate him. You weren't trying to one-up him. He was humiliating you. He was trying to knock you down a peg. Why? I don't know. I guess it just makes him feel better. But yeah, going through childbirth is a very difficult experience. You're gonna lose control over some bodily functions possibly. It's not something that you should be held accountable for, or like you voluntarily did it. I completely agree that it's completely humiliating for him to keep putting you through that. He's the one that's supposed to support you and help you just brush it off and forget about it. It's no big deal. I would think everything else that went on that day would take much larger priority over your accident. If he's gonna be a jerk about it repeatedly after you've tried to address it privately, by all means, call him out in front of his family. Give him a taste of his own medicine. Entitled jerk just doesn't know when to stop pushing his luck. I thought I'd share a story about something that happened to me a little pre-pandemic. I was riding my motorcycle home from work one day and decided to pull into an AM/PM to get a cold drink. I park along the side of the building and a green Suburban pulls up next to me. They roll the windows down and I can see a man, woman, and a bunch of kids in the back seats. "Hey man, can I get 20 in gas for my truck?" It seemed like a reasonable enough request. Dude's got a bunch of kids and a gas guzzler, so he was probably just trying to get home, same as me. So I said, "Sure, what pump?" He tells me the pump and I start walking towards the store. "Do you think I could get some water too?" "Yeah, sure." And I keep walking. I just put my hand on the door and he says, "Make it 40. I turned around to look at him in hopes that he was just kidding around, and lo and behold, he wasn't. And now you get nothing. I got back on my bike and rode off. Some people. Come on, man, you actually found someone who's willing to help you out and you're just gonna keep pushing them to see how much you can get? Everyone has a breaking point. Why are you gonna push it? They've already agreed to help you. Asking for the additional water is not the end of the world. Sure, maybe you want water for the kids. Whatever, I'll get you a water. But then following that up by doubling the amount of gas you want me to buy you? No, sorry. You just pushed me too far. You've made it clear that you just want to get whatever you can out of me. And as a result, I don't feel like helping you anymore. See how that works? Boss refuses my resignation letter, so I just walk out. After several months of having my vacation time off requests denied, my staff being fired and not replaced, and my work hours increased without my consent, I walked into my boss's office and handed her my resignation letter. I was giving 4 weeks notice, which I thought was nice. She looks at me and says, No, I can't deal with this today. Packed her stuff and left for a day of shopping on company time. I went to my office, cleaned it out, finished off a day's work, and put my keys in her mailbox. The next day, I got a call from HR saying they were giving me the day off without pay to think about what I did, and that I was expected to be at work the next day. No thanks. 2 years later, I'm living my dream life. Suck it, Joan. What was going on with this manager? It doesn't sound like she was managing much of anything. She's denying time off requests, letting staff go and not replacing them, and just putting all the work onto one person. What is she doing exactly? Oh, I'm sorry. Our original poster said she goes shopping, obviously. Gotta wonder what all the other people did to get fired when the person doing the hiring and firing is these kinds of standards. Either way, I don't blame our original poster one bit for just walking out. Employers don't seem to realize you don't need to take that kind of crap. You can find another job. They're not as hard to find as your employer makes it out to be. Maybe you take something that's a little bit less than what you're currently at until you find the right position. But it's gotta be better than dealing with someone like this. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Or if you want to listen to some vibey music in the background, check out easymode. If you like Am I the Jerk, give Am I the Genius a shot. Everything linked in the description.